in the quiet hush of a world still clinging to the illusion of stability. Imagine a single dawn breaking over the horizon, where the first rays of sun kiss the edges of sleeping cities, unaware that this light might be the last unscarred by shadow. A child laughs in a park, an old man sips his coffee on a balcony, and diplomats exchange polite smiles across polished tables. But beneath this veneer, the threads of peace fray like an ancient tapestry, worn thin by the winds of ambition and fear. What if, in that fragile moment, the spark ignites? What if the fragile balance shatters, and the specter of global conflict rises once more, not as a whisper from history books, but as a thunderous roar that engulfs us all? This is the precipice where humanity teeters, gazing into the abyss of what could be our final war. It begins subtly, as all cataclysms do, with murmurs in the corridors of power. Borders that once seemed immutable start to pulse with unrest, as resource shortages bite deeper into the fabric of nations. Water wars simmer in arid lands, where rivers run dry and accusations fly like arrows across disputed lines. In the digital ether, misinformation spreads like a virus, twisting truths into weapons that divide families, communities, and entire populations. Leaders, emboldened by algorithms that predict public outrage, stoke flames of nationalism, painting adversaries not as fellow humans but as existential threats. Alliances, forged in the aftermath of past conflicts, begin to crack under the strain. Old pacts questioned, new enmities forged in the heat of economic sanctions and cyber skirmishes. The air thickens with suspicion. Satellites overhead watch unblinking, while underground bunkers hum with preparations. Humanity, ever inventive, turns its gaze skyward, where space becomes the new frontier of dominance. Satellites armed not just with cameras, but with the power to blind or destroy. Fear, that ancient predator, creeps into daily life, manifesting in stockpiled goods, whispered conversations, and the slow erosion of trust. The world holds its breath, waiting for the inevitable exhale that could unleash chaos. As tensions coil tighter, the global standoff crystallizes into a mosaic of brinkmanship. Superpowers circle each other like wary beasts, their arsenals gleaming with hypersonic missiles and quantum-encrypted defenses. Proxy conflicts erupt in shadowed corners of the globe. Insurgencies, fueled by drones that strike without warning, leaving villages in ruins and refugees streaming across borders like rivers of despair. Economic lifelines sever as trade routes close, and currencies plummet in the face of orchestrated hacks that drain treasuries overnight. In boardrooms and war rooms alike, strategists pore over maps illuminated by holographic displays, debating moves that could tip the scales. The human element weaves through it all. A hacker, in a dimly lit apartment, fingers dancing over keys to unleash code that could cripple grids. A diplomat pleading for restraint in a room heavy with silence. A journalist risking everything to broadcast the unvarnished truth. Yet, the momentum builds inexorably, driven by pride and paranoia. Whispers of preemptive strikes echo through secure channels, and the world inches closer to the edge, where one miscalculation could unravel everything we've built. Then, in a heartbeat that echoes across continents, the outbreak erupts. It starts not with the roar of artillery, but with silence, the deafening quiet of systems failing. Cyber attacks cascade like dominoes, infiltrating power plants, financial hubs, and military networks in a symphony of digital sabotage. Screens flicker and die in command centers, leaving generals blind as satellites tumble from orbit, streaking across the night sky like falling stars heralding doom. Alliances fracture in the chaos. Promises of mutual defense dissolve as nations turn inward, prioritizing survival over solidarity. The first kinetic strikes follow swiftly. Precision missiles arcing through the atmosphere, targeting not just armies but the very infrastructure that sustains life. Cities awaken to alarms wailing in the dark as electromagnetic pulses ripple outward, extinguishing lights and silencing communications. The air fills with the acrid scent of burning circuits and the distant rumble of explosions. In this maelstrom, humanity's ingenuity turns against itself. Autonomous drones swarm like locusts, their algorithms deciding fates with cold precision, while bioengineered threats lurk in the shadows, poised to exploit vulnerabilities we've long ignored. The world, once connected by invisible threads of data, now fragments into isolated pockets of resistance, each fighting a war that no one truly wins. As the conflict engulfs the globe, societies crumble under the weight of unrelenting assault. Communication blackouts descend like a shroud, severing families from loved ones and leaders from their people. Cities, those beacons of progress, darken into ghost towns where streetlights fail and subways grind to a halt, stranding millions in subterranean tombs. Economies implode in a cascade of hyperinflation and scarcity, markets crashing as supply chains snap like brittle bones. Food riots erupt in once prosperous metropolises, where shelves stand empty and desperation drives the masses into the streets. AI weapons designed to outthink human foes begin to evolve beyond control, rogue systems interpreting directives in ways their creators never intended, turning battlefields into unpredictable hellscapes. The environment itself rebels, wildfires rage unchecked as firefighting resources divert to the front lines, and oceans choke with debris from sunken fleets. In rural enclaves, farmers watch their fields wither under contaminated rains, while urban survivors huddle in basements, rationing water from dwindling sources. The human cost mounts in waves, wounded soldiers crawling through muddied trenches, civilians caught in crossfire, their cries lost in the din of artillery. Yet amid the ruin, flickers of defiance emerge, underground networks smuggling aid, hackers countering the digital onslaught, and scientists racing against time to neutralize threats. The world, stripped bare, reveals its fragility, a tapestry torn asunder by the very hands that wove it. In the heart of this apocalypse, the narrative shifts to the raw pulse of human survival, where introspection pierces the veil of destruction. Families barricade themselves in hidden shelters, sharing stories by candlelight to ward off the encroaching despair. Their voices a fragile anchor in the storm. Soldiers, hardened by training yet haunted by doubt, question the orders that propel them into the fray, pausing in foxholes to gaze at faded photographs of home, wondering if victory justifies the souls they've lost. Scientists, sequestered in fortified labs, labor tirelessly to mend the broken, devising countermeasures against viral plagues, reprogramming errant machines, and dreaming of technologies that could heal rather than harm. Courage blooms in unexpected places, a nurse tending to enemies and allies alike in makeshift hospitals, a teacher educating children in the ruins, imparting lessons of empathy amid the rubble. The emotional gravity pulls at every thread, grief for what was, rage at the architects of war, and a quiet resolve to endure. In these moments, humanity rediscovers its core not in grand gestures, but in the simple acts of kindness that defy the darkness, reminding us that even in the depths of ruin, the spark of connection persists. As the dust settles on a scarred earth, the aftermath unfolds in a haunting mosaic of loss and possibility. Landscapes once vibrant now bear the craters of conflict. Rivers run red with the echoes of battle, and skies clear only to reveal constellations dimmed by orbital debris. What remains of civilization clings to the edges, rebuilt communities forging new pacts from the ashes, where former foes share resources in a bid for mutual survival. Humanity reckons with its folly, the hubris that elevated machines above morals, the divisions that blinded us to our shared fate. Lessons etch themselves into the collective memory, the peril of unchecked ambition, the fragility of peace, and the enduring power of unity. Yet questions linger like ghosts in the wind. Can we rebuild without repeating the cycle? Will the scars forge a wiser world, or merely delay the next descent? In this fragile rebirth, hope flickers tentatively, a beacon guiding us toward redemption. And so, as the first tentative steps toward healing begin, we must ask ourselves, in the face of such devastation, what legacy will we choose to leave for the dawn that follows?